Good evening and welcome to Armageddon Live, Series 2, Episode 36, Structure of Daniel 8 through 12, Part 8, on this 3rd of June, 2020. I'm your host, Daniel Decrypted. Yes, so we're gonna dig a little deeper. First, let's get me out of the way. And there. So you'll recall this lovely structure that we've been looking at for, must be 8 episodes now, 8 different parts to this. Yes, so there's these 7, there's the 7 outer rainbow layers. And then we have Daniel. Then we have the gray layer, which is just a repetition or parallel. And then of course we have the inner central layer, focusing on Babylonian confusion. But what we actually want to look at is this part of this gray layer. Our first layer of this parallel section, right, is transgression of desolation, verses 8, 13, and 14, versus on the other side is transgression times 3 leads to desolation times 3, verses 9, 24 through 27. So we actually want to look at that 9, 24 through 27. Yes, someone has decided to get on my bed. I hope they're not gonna try and go to sleep there. Anyway, so we're gonna look at 9, 24 through 27. This is gonna be very short. So this is the structure of 9, 24 through 27. So we see that 24a, or the first half of verse 24 of chapter 9, talks about transgression. It deals with the Jewish nation, and it goes along with the last half of verse 27 and the last half of verse 26. Then we see that the pink section, the last half of verse 24, and the first half of verse 26 and the first half of verse 27 deal with the Messiah. And then verse 25 is the central item. So tonight we're just going to look at verse 24. Alright, so here we are. This is the text of verse 24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city. 1, to finish the transgression. 2, to make an end of sins. 3, and to make reconciliation for iniquity. 4, and to bring in everlasting righteousness. 5, and to seal up the vision and prophecy. 6, and to anoint the most holy. So you'll notice in these 6 phrases that we know there's 6 phrases because there's actually 6 verbs. There we go. That's what the blue is. To finish, to make an end of, to make reconciliation for, to bring in, to seal up, to anoint. So 6 phrases, we know they're there because there's 6 verbs. Now what's interesting is the fact that the first 3 phrases all deal with sin. They all mention a word or term for sin. The transgression, sins, and iniquity. So that already indicates that there's something special, or this is written in a way that's sort of odd. You have these first 3 that all deal with sin. But when you look at the Hebrew, it's even more clear that there's something odd going on here. So here's the Hebrew. So we actually, those 6 phrases divide in 2. So as we indicated before, highlighted in red, we have the mention of sin 3 times, the transgression, sins, and iniquity. But we further notice that the first 3 phrases actually only consist of 2 Hebrew words. Each phrase has only 2 Hebrew words in it. And when we look at the last 3 phrases, each of those phrases has 3 Hebrew words in it. So this is rather odd. But then we also notice that the middle phrase of each set of 3 actually uses the same verb. So even though we translate the first or the middle phrase or the middle verb of the first set of 3 as "and to make an end of," and we translate the second middle verb as "and to seal up," it's actually the same Hebrew word. So this already creates this sort of strange pattern that, I don't know, Daniel really went to work on this to make it as just three phrases with 2 Hebrew words, and then 3 phrases with 3 Hebrew words, and to use the same Hebrew verb as in the middle phrases of each set. And then of course you have the mention of 3 3 words for sin in the first 3 phrases. Anyway, I guess there's nothing else to say, but I hope you're convinced that yes, there really is a division here. That you really have the first 3 phrases are separated from the next 3 phrases. I mean, the structure indicates that. The way they've been constructed indicates that there's a division here, a natural division. So that's all for today. I hope this piqued your interest. I hope it was interesting to you to find this out, to see that there really is this division that exists in verse 24, that there is a first half and a second half to it. Of course, for the Messiah who is sinless, it makes sense that the second part goes to the Messiah and the first part goes to the Jews. Of course, if we look back at our structure there, we said, okay, transgression, and it goes along with desolation. And if we further go back, we note, of course, that this is actually in chapter 8, this is called the transgression of desolation. So anyway, that's all for tonight. Once again, I hope this was of interest to you. And let's see, let's get me out of the way. Yes, I hope it was of interest to you, and that it piqued your interest. I hope to see you again tomorrow night, and we'll deal with the next part, or the next structure, verses 26 and 27, that goes along with the verses we just dealt with, verse 24. Yeah, so that's it. Good night. Until tomorrow.